Bryson DeChambeau doesn't just play golf, he uses science to tear through the competition. While other golfers rely on instinct, feel, and natural ability, Bryson brings data and physics to every swing, giving him an edge that no one else has. From breaking down angles to calculating wind speeds, Bryson's brain is his secret weapon on the course. He soaked his golf balls in Epsom salts, created a set of irons, and even tried to prove Newton wrong at a science fair when he was a kid. But how did this self-proclaimed golf nerd, known as the scientist, become one of the most feared players in the game? And what scientific tricks does he use to stay ahead of everyone else? To find out, we need to go back to Bryson's early years, when his love for science and golf started shaping the path of one of history's most unique golf careers. Bryson grew up in Clovis, California, and earning his nerd status didn't take long. Even from a young age, he wasn't just into golf. Bryson was also obsessed with science. His brain was always buzzing with ideas and questions, whether at home, on the course, or in the classroom. In fact, he said his parents hated how his mind never stopped as he asked question after question, and by the time he hit high school, his curiosity had reached new levels. As part of his school's science fair, he attempted to disprove Newton's law of inertia. He believed that under certain conditions, Newton's equations might not always hold up. Now, Newton ultimately won that battle, but it was clear that Bryson's mind was built for physics, and he was so determined to understand the subject that he rewrote his entire high school physics textbook. Because Bryson thought that by rewriting the book, he would absorb the concepts and make sense of the world through numbers. Like many kids who are deep into learning, rewriting textbooks, and figuring out the world, Bryson struggled a bit socially. This is when he became known as a nerd and started getting bullied by his peers, but he didn't let the bullying stop him. Instead, he took his love for numbers and science and applied them to sports. While Bryson played a variety of sports, including baseball and basketball, it was golf where he found his scientific edge. Instead of swinging the club like everyone else, Bryson studied how golf worked. He applied what he was learning in science to his game, seeing golf as a puzzle that could be solved with the right calculations. He won the first 2 tournaments he ever entered, and Bryson was proving to be more than just a golf nerd. He was a golf champ. But this was just the start. As Bryson grew older, science would soon take his golf games to levels no one could have predicted. His love for both science and golf led him to Southern Methodist University, SMU, in Dallas, Texas. While there, he majored in physics, and that's when his game started to evolve. At SMU, Bryson didn't just play golf, he was breaking it down, figuring out how to make his swing more efficient and to dominate the competition using math and physics. Bryson looked at golf and saw numbers, angles, and formulas. At one point, he realized that his golf clubs were holding him back from getting the consistency he needed, so he fixed the problem himself. Bryson read and then became obsessed with a controversial golf book called The Golfing Machine. This book uses overly technical language, something only a golf nerd could understand. The whole book is filled with physics and geometry, kind of like Bryson's head. His experience with the book led Bryson to switch to single-length irons. Bryson didn't invent single-length irons, but he brought the concept to competitive and professional golf. Traditionally, golfers use clubs of different lengths. However, Bryson had the idea to cut all his irons to the same size, 37.5 inches, the length of his 7-iron. This idea, of course, made sense only to a golf nerd. Bryson's theory was that by keeping every club the same length, he could make his swing more consistent and repeatable, no matter which iron he used. The move to 1-length irons was bold. Almost no one else was doing it, and many thought it was a bad idea. But for Bryson, it was simple math. If his swing stayed the same, he'd have fewer things to think about during the game. By this point, Bryson wasn't just seen as a nerd. People thought he was plain weird.
95% of the golfers out there, they think I'm nuts. I think I'm crazy.
But those people were about to be silenced. His scientific approach was about to take over the golf world. Bryson's breakthrough in college with his 1-length irons in play wasn't just a science experiment with theories and questions. It quickly led to real results. In 2015, he did something only 4 other players in history had ever done. He won the NCAA Division I championship and the US Amateur in the same year. These victories put him in the same league as golf legends like Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods. But what made him stand out was his method. He wasn't just relying on talent or feel like many others. Bryson was using science to outthink and outplay his competition. At the US Amateur, Bryson didn't just play better than his opponents. He analyzed the course differently. He calculated calculated angles, read wind patterns, and used every bit of data available to make sure he had the upper hand. His attention to detail made him different on the course. This is when he earned the nickname The Scientist. But when Bryson turned pro, no one was ready for what was about to happen. Would his scientific tricks hold up against the best in the world, or would the experiment fail? After all, the PGA Tour had never seen a scientist take this approach to the game. In 2016, Bryson turned professional, and it didn't take long for his methods to pay off. His first PGA Tour win came just a year later at the John Deere Classic. But what made Bryson's win so different from others was how he got there. He used data to calculate everything, from his grip pressure to the precise angle of his swing. The level of detail in Bryson's thinking was not normal. While most golfers were worried about what brand or number of golf balls they used, Bryson was doing his own quality control tests on every ball he put into play. He even took things further by soaking his golf balls in Epsom salts to check their balance, which allowed him to make sure each ball was perfectly centered. This edge gives him more control over his shots. His approach to the game was so different that other players and commentators started to question whether his methods would hold up long term. But as Bryson continued to win, it became clear that science was on his side. Even though Bryson was viewed as the weird golf nerd, some golf tech companies started to pay attention. They wondered if he could help change the game of golf for everyone. Bryson's journey into the world of technology didn't stop with single-length clubs. As his career advanced, he started working with companies like Microsoft to add cutting-edge tech to his game. Using data analytics and machine learning, Bryson analyzed courses and developed strategies. These strategies were tailored to each hole. He measured wind speed, humidity, and the effects of different surfaces to find the perfect shot for any situation. One of his most exciting partnerships was with Sensoria, a company that helped him develop a smart grip for his clubs. This grip could measure how much pressure he applied during his swing, giving him real-time data to adjust for maximum control. Bryson's game had now become a mix of skill, science, and technology. He was pushing the boundaries of what golfers could do on the course, but his body wasn't keeping up with his brilliant mind. If he wanted to keep pushing the limits of science, something had to change, and COVID would give him the perfect chance to do just that. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Bryson added over 40 pounds of muscle to increase his swing speed and distance. This transformation allowed him to hit the ball further than anyone else. But it wasn't just pure strength. Bryson had carefully planned every part of his physical transformation, as he didn't just start lifting weights randomly. He worked with trainers and biomechanics experts to develop a plan to build power without losing control. He ate 3,500 to 4,000 calories a day, making sure the weight gain and muscle only helped him on the course. It worked. In 2020, Bryson took his scientific approach to the highest level by winning the US Open at Winged Foot, one of the hardest courses in golf. His strategy was simple: hit the ball as far as possible, even if it landed in the rough, and then rely on his strength and accuracy to recover. This strategy is far from typical for a major championship, and some wondered if it would hurt the game. It also opened Bryson up to more criticism, but as a golf scientist, Bryson wasn't worried about the changes this would bring. He was focused on using his research to increase his chances of winning. Bryson's distance off the tee, combined with his precise calculations, allowed him to dominate the field. He was the only player to finish under par, and he won by 6 strokes. And if you thought these changes made Bryson all brawn and no brains, think again. He was about to prove that his new body, combined with his scientific mind, could dominate the competition. In 2020, he also won the Rocket Mortgage Classic in dominant fashion. He proved that his new strength was as effective as his scientific approach. His ability to overpower courses while still using data set him apart from other golfers. Then, in 2021, he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational. And just when you thought Bryson couldn't push the boundaries further, he made a controversial move that shocked the golf world. In 2022, Bryson made the decision to join LIV Golf, shaking up the sport. He had been criticized before, but now, as he left the PGA Tour, he faced more backlash. He had less than pleasant spats with Brooks Koepka and felt it was time for something new. Now, the LIV Tour had to deal with the scientist and his unusual approach to the game. Despite the criticism, Bryson stayed focused, continuing to use his methods to improve. In 2023, he shot a record-breaking 58 at the Greenbrier. This was the lowest round in LIV history, proving again that his mix of science and power was unbeatable. But Bryson isn't just about records and wins. science, he's also about winning fans and showing the human side of his scientific persona, and he's not done yet. In 2024, Bryson once again proved why he is one of the most feared players by winning his second US Open. This time, his win came in dramatic fashion. On the 72nd hole, Bryson found himself in a bunker 55 yards from the pin. Using his scientific mindset, he calculated the exact shot he needed to pull off the win, which ultimately resulted in an impressive victory. This was classic Bryson, turning a tough situation into an opportunity for precision. His calculations paid off. Bryson secured his second major title, cementing his legacy as a player who could use science to win. Could other golfers pull off a shot like this? Maybe. But Bryson used science, not luck. Nowadays, Bryson is also one of the biggest golf channels on YouTube. Golfers can't get enough of him, and without a doubt, he has made everyone question if they have incorporated enough science in their golf games. One of the most popular videos that he does showcases his rounds with other professionals and celebrities trying to break 60. Bryson DeChambeau's career is more than just wins and trophies. He has changed how the game is played. His use of science, data, and technology has shown that golf is more than just a skill. It's about thinking smarter, analyzing better, and using every tool available. And I'm sure that it will take a long time before we ever see someone like him again.